Life is not going to ask you if you're ready. It simply hits you. It tears away your plans, puts you face to face with loss, forces you to look at your fragility. And in that instant, only two options exist: surrender to suffering or use pain as a fire that forges your character. That is the essence of Stoic wisdom. Not to escape from reality, but to confront it with a firm mind and a conscious heart. This is not about embellishing life with pretty phrases, but about accepting it as it is. Harsh, unpredictable, relentless. Suffering does not arise from what happens, but from how you choose to react. Stoicism teaches you that discipline is worth more than fleeting motivation, that acceptance of the inevitable is power, that the present is the only real source of energy, and that every obstacle can become fuel if you know how to face it with the right mindset. This video is a practical journey. You won't hear empty theories or advice to make you feel good for a while. Here, you will discover how to transform vulnerability into strength, how to make your values a shield that protects you, how to train a resilience so flexible that nothing can break you, and how to find purpose by serving something larger than yourself. Don't expect comfort, because what you will find here is challenge. These lessons do not seek to sweeten your vision of life. They seek to toughen you up so that reality does not destroy you. If you decide to follow through to the end, you will understand that true freedom is not in what you control outside, but in the mastery you conquer within. That is the terrain where your life is played out. 1. Build discipline before motivation. The river doesn't need to feel motivated to follow its course. It simply moves forward with force, breaks rocks, makes its way, and never stops. That's how your life should be if you really want to grow. You can't depend on the changing spark of motivation, because it appears when it wants to and disappears when you need it the most. Motivation is emotion. Discipline is character. Those who live waiting to feel inspired to act get trapped in a circle of enthusiastic beginnings and shameful abandonments. Discipline, on the other hand, is the foundation that supports achievements when enthusiasm dies. The common mistake is to believe that you first need to feel motivated to act. That's the trap that keeps many in the same place for years. The truth is the opposite. You act first, you discipline yourself first, and then motivation comes as a consequence of having proven that you are capable of fulfilling what you said. Discipline is the invisible muscle that is not seen, but supports every visible victory. If you don't train it, you will always be a slave to your changing emotions. How do you build discipline in real life? Start small. Don't try to transform your entire routine in one day. Choose a simple action that you can fulfill even in your worst moments. It can be getting up at the same time every day, exercising for 10 minutes even if you don't feel like it, writing a single line in a notebook every night. The important thing is not the magnitude, it's the consistency. Every repeated act is engraving in your mind a powerful message. I fulfill what I say. That message is worth more than any motivational phrase. Another strategy is to eliminate internal negotiation. If every morning you ask yourself if you are going to train, if you are going to study, or if you're going to work on what matters, you have already lost. Discipline begins when you turn your commitments into non-negotiables. You don't decide every day, you simply fulfill. You stop arguing with yourself and act like the river that doesn't consult whether it should flow or not. The question is not whether you feel like it. The question is whether you are going to honor your word with yourself. You also need to learn to see discomfort as an ally. Most people run away from effort because they associate it with suffering, when in reality, it is the price of any lasting result. If you manage to train your mind to see effort as a test of your strength, you will stop looking for excuses. Repeat inside yourself that every discomfort is an investment in your character. That mindset transforms tough tasks into opportunities for growth. Building discipline is choosing a difficult but sure path instead of an easy but fragile one. It's understanding that motivation can ignite you, but it always goes out. Discipline is the flame that never dies, the one that supports your progress even in the dark. And if you manage to master it, you will discover that you don't need to feel ready to start, because you are already capable of moving even without wanting to. That is true freedom. 2. Live in the present as the only source of power. The clock doesn't stop to wait for you to get your life in order. Every second that passes turns into a brick that you can no longer recover. Many live burdened by the weight of the past and the anxiety of the future, but neglect the only thing they have in their hands, the present. Stoicism is clear. The only place where action, decision, and strength truly exist is in the now. Clinging to memories that no longer change or fears of what has not yet arrived is like trying to catch air with your hands. You end up tired and empty. The trap is in thinking that tomorrow will be easier, that next Monday you will start, that at another time you will have more energy. That thought is poison because it turns your life into an endless wait. The present is uncomfortable because it demands action, and many prefer to evade it by dreaming of ideal futures that never arrive. But every decision you don't make today, every step you don't take at this moment, is another chain that ties you to inertia. How do you live in the present in a practical way? First, stop escaping through constant distractions. The phone, social networks, comparisons with others are mechanisms to avoid facing your immediate reality. If you want power, cut off those escapes at certain times of the day and direct your attention to the here and now. Do it with concrete acts. Eat without checking your phone. Walk truly observing what surrounds you. Talk listening with full attention. The present is trained like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger your ability to live it becomes. Second, use breathing as an anchor. When you feel your mind drifting towards painful memories or future worries, breathe deeply and remember that in that simple act, your life happens. There is no yesterday or tomorrow in breathing, only the now. The Stoics taught that life is made up of moments and that your power lies in how you choose to live them. If you master a moment, you master your existence. Third, turn each day into a practice of conscious decision-making. You don't need to have the whole future figured out. You just need to firmly answer the question, what can I do right now that brings me closer to my values and my goals? That question kills procrastination and ignites action. Don't underestimate the power of small actions, because together they build the future you either fear or hope for. Living in the present doesn't mean forgetting the past or ignoring the future. It means not allowing them to steal the strength you have today. The past has already served its purpose. The future has not yet arrived. But this moment is your most powerful weapon. Whoever learns to use it stops being a slave to time and becomes the master of their life. The present is a battlefield, and the only unforgivable mistake is to abandon it, hoping that another moment will be better. 3. Distinguish between pain and suffering. Fire burns and scorches, but the heat it generates is not the same as the blaze that destroys everything in its path. Pain is that inevitable fire that appears when you lose, when you stumble, when life confronts you with its harshness. Suffering, on the other hand, is the blaze that you yourself feed by resisting, by asking why me, by endlessly dwelling on what you cannot change. Pain is real, suffering is optional. This is the distinction that Stoicism places before the eyes of anyone seeking strength. The reality is that no one can escape pain. You get sick, you lose someone, you fail in your projects, you experience rejection or injustice. Pain is part of the price of being alive. What you can avoid is prolonging that discomfort until it becomes a prison. Suffering appears when you decide to stay trapped in the wound, when you make pain an identity, or when you deny the truth of what happened. There, it is not life that punishes you, it is you yourself stabbing the knife over and over again. How do you break that chain? First, accept the inevitable with brutal clarity. Don't waste time denying what has already happened. Denial feeds suffering because it ties you to the impossible. Acceptance, although it hurts, opens the path to calm. Telling yourself the unadorned truth is the first step to stop suffering. It's not resignation, it's power. Second, change the question. Instead of asking yourself, why me? Ask yourself, what can I do now with this? That simple modification transforms your mind from victim to protagonist. Pain ceases to be an executioner and becomes a teacher. Suffering disappears when what was once a burden becomes fuel for growth. Third, observe your thoughts. Often it is not the wound that hurts, but the stories you invent around it. I will never get out of this. No one understands me. Everything goes wrong for me. These are narratives that intensify suffering and have no basis beyond your constant repetition. When your mind begins to create these stories, breathe, stop, and return to objective reality. Ask yourself what is true and what is exaggeration. This practice breaks the cycle of suffering. It also helps to remember that pain is shared, but suffering multiplies in silence. Seek to talk to someone you trust. Write down what you feel. Unload the weight from within. By expressing it, pain remains in its fair measure and does not transform into an internal monster. Distinguishing between pain and suffering is a weapon for daily life. You don't choose pain, but you create or destroy suffering with your decisions. If you learn to see this difference clearly, you will live lighter, stronger, and with fewer mental chains. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is negotiable, and you have the power not to sign that contract. 4. Transform obstacles into opportunities. Mountains do not move to make your path easy. They stand firm to test whether you really have the strength to climb them. Life works the same way. Each obstacle that appears in front of you is not designed to destroy you, but to force you to grow. What most people do is complain, stop, or curse the difficulty, without understanding that in that resistance lies the seed of their power. Stoicism teaches that what blocks the path becomes the path, and what seems to be a break can be a push if you decide to use it wisely. The difference between those who move forward and those who remain in frustration is not in the magnitude of the problems, but in the way they face them. The one who sees an obstacle as a punishment sinks. The one who sees it as an opportunity finds a path of growth that would not have existed otherwise. The question is never why this difficulty arose, but what are you going to do with it? If you choose to see it as an enemy, it destroys you. If you choose to see it as a teacher, it strengthens you. How does this apply in real life? First, change your automatic reaction. In the face of any obstacle, stop the impulse to complain. Complaining weakens you because it gives your energy to what you cannot change. Instead, make a cold analysis. What depends on me in this situation? This question cuts off the drama and opens up space for concrete action. Second, practice mental reframing. If you lose a job, it can be a collapse, but it can also be the push you needed to explore something new. If someone rejects you, you can see it as a wound or as a filter that saves you time and energy. The obstacle does not change. What changes is your perspective, and in that perspective, your destiny is played out. Third, strengthen your resilience by training small discomforts. Exercise when you don't feel like it. Endure the cold a few more minutes. Work focused in the midst of distractions. Every time you train your mind to resist small difficulties, you build a character capable of facing the big ones without breaking. The obstacle becomes a gym for the mind and spirit. It is also key to stop waiting for a perfect path. Perfection does not exist, and thinking otherwise only feeds frustration. Accept that stumbling is a natural part of the journey and understand that each fall is a disguised lesson. If you adopt this vision, you never lose. You either win or learn. Transforming obstacles into opportunities is not a motivational cliché, it is a life strategy. The problem is not the stone in the path, but your decision to keep looking or to use it as a step. If you choose the latter, each difficulty becomes part of your personal construction, and then life ceases to be a struggle against what holds you back, to become a journey of conquest over what once stopped you. 5. Accept your vulnerability as a seed of strength. Glass seems fragile until you melt it with fire and it becomes a solid and shiny piece. The same happens with your vulnerability. What you believe to be a weakness can transform into your greatest source of power if you know how to face it instead of hiding it. Society has taught you to disguise your fears, to hide your wounds, and to pretend that nothing affects you, but that facade only consumes you from the inside. Stoicism does not ask you to be invulnerable, it asks you to recognize your limits in order to overcome them. The common mistake is to think that vulnerability is synonymous with defeat. You believe that showing what you feel makes you less, when in reality it makes you human. Denying it does not eliminate the pain, it multiplies it. Accepting your vulnerability is accepting that you do not control everything, and in that recognition, serenity is born. The Stoic understands that admitting his fragility does not make him weak, it makes him free, because he stops spending energy on holding up unnecessary masks. How to apply this in a practical way? Start by observing where you run away from yourself. Do you keep quiet when something hurts you for fear of judgment? Do you avoid asking for help because you believe that it shows weakness? Do you remain silent in the face of what bothers you in order not to lose approval? Each of these gestures feeds the lie that being strong is not showing anything. True power arises when you are able to accept what you feel and still act firmly. A key piece of advice is to learn to express without dramatizing. Vulnerability does not mean overflowing in lamentations, it means telling the truth directly. This hurts me, this worries me, I need support in this. That honesty does not diminish your value, it multiplies it, because it frees you from the burden of pretending and connects you with others from authenticity. Another step is to transform your wounds into lessons. Each failure, each rejection, each fall leaves a mark. You can see it as a shameful scar or as a medal of learning. When you accept that these marks tell your story, they stop being dead weight and become proofs of your resilience. Useless suffering appears when you deny the wound, but strength arises when you integrate it into your identity. You also need to understand that asking for help is not surrender. Pride makes you believe that you should only carry everything, but wisdom consists in recognizing when you need another perspective or specific support. The Stoic does not sink into isolation. He builds alliances without losing his independence. Accepting your vulnerability does not make you less strong, it makes you more complete. It is the foundation upon which you build a solid character, because you no longer depend on appearance, but on truth. The strength that denies the fragile is arrogance, but the strength that integrates fragility is authentic and lasting. And when you understand this, you discover that what you thought was your weak point was actually the beginning of your true strength. 6. Protect your life with the armor of your values. A castle without walls is doomed to fall at the first attack, no matter how rich its interior is. The same happens with the life of someone who does not have clear values. Any opinion knocks them down, any temptation deviates them, any pressure drags them. Values are invisible walls that are not always seen, but they hold your integrity amidst chaos. Stoicism knew this well. Living without principles is being naked before the world. Living with them is wearing an armor that allows you to resist without getting lost. Most people react according to what is convenient at the moment. They change their stance if they receive approval. They remain silent if they fear rejection. They say what the environment wants to hear. This back and forth turns them into leaves carried by the wind without their own direction. But a Stoic does not measure himself by external circumstances, but by the consistency with his internal principles. And that consistency is tested when life squeezes, not when everything is easy. How to protect your life with the armor of your values. First, define what they are. It is not enough to repeat empty phrases like, "I want to be good" or "I want to be fair." Write clearly what values govern your existence: discipline, justice, honesty, respect, temperance. When you name them, you stop being someone who improvises and become someone who is governed by firm codes. Second, make small decisions that back them up. Don't wait for big dilemmas to test your strength. Consistency is trained in the everyday. Fulfill what you promise even when no one is watching. Tell the truth even if it is uncomfortable. Keep your word even when it is easier to give up. Each choice is a hammer blow that strengthens your armor. Third, learn to pay the price of standing firm. Your values will cost you friends, false opportunities, and moments of comfort. And that's okay. Better to lose what has no root than to lose yourself. The armor is not made to please, it is made to protect. When the world pressures you to betray your principles, remember that what you give up once becomes a permanent crack. Another essential practice is to review your actions every day. Ask yourself at the end of the day if what you did was aligned with your values or if you gave in to convenience. This honest self-criticism is the workshop where the armor is repaired. No one is perfect, but whoever reviews and corrects strengthens with each mistake. Protecting your life with values is understanding that without them you are easy prey for the environment. Wealth, fame, or social approval can be lost in a second, but integrity is the only thing that no one can take away from you if you decide to keep it. When you wear that armor, you can walk on any terrain with the certainty that, although the world changes, you remain firm in the essentials. 7. Practice strategic gratitude. The warrior who only counts the arrows he lacks never sees the arsenal he already has. This is how many of us live, obsessed with what we do not possess, looking at what we lack, comparing our path with that of others. This vision feeds frustration because the mind gets used to focusing on the void and not on what already sustains your life. Gratitude is not a romantic exercise or a spiritual trend. It is a practical strategy to redirect your energy towards what strengthens instead of what drains. The common mistake is to confuse gratitude with complacency. You think that giving thanks means giving up ambition, when in reality it means recognizing your base to build higher. You don't give thanks to stand still. You give thanks to remember that you don't start from scratch. Stoicism puts it bluntly: whoever does not appreciate what they have today will not know how to value what they achieve tomorrow. Without gratitude, nothing is enough. With gratitude, even the small becomes powerful. How to practice it strategically. Start each day by consciously naming 3 things that already sustain your life. It's not about generic phrases like "my family" or "my health," but about recognizing the concrete. The conversation you had with someone who supported you, the learning you got from a mistake, the opportunity to have the strength to try again. This exercise sharpens your perception, forces you to see what your mind usually ignores, and trains it to focus on what nourishes. Another practice is to be grateful even for the uncomfortable. It seems absurd, but that's the secret. The difficulty you faced yesterday, the rejection that hurt you, the obstacle that forced you to change direction, all can be a reason for gratitude if you see them as training for your character. This mental shift is brutal. You stop becoming a victim of circumstances and start being an architect of your growth. Thanking the blow does not mean enjoying the pain. It means recognizing the learning it brings hidden. It is also important to express gratitude outwardly. Don't just keep it in your head. Tell people that you value their presence. Thank a gesture, a piece of advice, a support. This act multiplies your strength because it strengthens your bonds. And at the same time, it establishes an emotional discipline not to take anything for granted. Finally, combine gratitude with your goals. Be grateful for what you have while working for what you want. This way you avoid falling into frustration and maintain a balance between ambition and peace. Strategic gratitude is not about living satisfied with crumbs, but about recognizing the solid ground on which you can build a bigger future. Practicing gratitude in this way is choosing abundance over lack, training the mind to see resources instead of excuses. And when gratitude becomes a strategy, you discover that you already have more than you thought, and that from this internal wealth you can face life with renewed strength. 8. Train the flexible strength. Bamboo bends with the wind, but it does not break. It can face storms that uproot enormous trees and yet remains standing because it understands something essential. Strength is not always in rigidity, but in the ability to adapt without losing the root. The same happens in life. If your strength is based only on hardening, sooner or later something will break you. True resilience is in remaining firm in the essential and flexible in the circumstantial. This is the Stoic lesson that distinguishes the stubborn from the wise. The mistake of many is to confuse strength with obstinacy. They think that being strong means never giving in, remaining inflexible even though reality shows otherwise. But that attitude ends up wearing out and breaking because not everything depends on you and not everything can be controlled. The Stoic understands that life is constant change and that the strength that survives is the one that knows how to adjust without giving up. How to train this flexible strength in everyday life? First, accept that circumstances change, and that does not make you weak. Adjusting your plan does not mean abandoning your goal. If you were looking for a path and it is blocked, choose another. But do not lose sight of the destination. Flexibility is tactical. Firmness is in the direction. Second, practice letting go of what does not depend on you. Much of the emotional wear comes from fighting against closed doors. Learn to distinguish between what you can control and what you cannot, and focus your energy only on the former. Every time you insist on forcing the impossible, your strength erodes. Every time you accept the inevitable and adapt, your strength grows. Third, train the ability to remain calm under pressure. When the storm arrives, the natural instinct is to resist with anger or anxiety, but conscious calm is the most powerful weapon. Do exercises that expose you to small tensions. Endure the uncomfortable silence in a conversation. Maintain concentration even if there is noise. Finish a task without interrupting yourself with distractions. These trainings strengthen your mind to not break in larger scenarios. Another useful practice is learning to reframe your failures. If you fail, it does not mean you are weak. It means you have the opportunity to adjust your strategy. Rigidity leads you to sink into frustration. Flexibility gives you a new perspective to get up. The important thing is not how many times you fall, but how many times you find another way to stand up. Training flexible strength is not giving up. It is building a power that does not depend on the illusion of absolute control. It is accepting that the world changes, that people change, that you yourself change, and that you can still remain firm in your values and adaptable in your path. Like bamboo, you bend, but you do not break. And that is the true strength that survives any storm. 9. Free yourself by letting go of what doesn't belong to you. A bird cannot fly if it carries stones tied to its wings. This is how many people walk, carrying resentments, other people's expectations, inherited guilt, responsibilities that never belong to them. Life becomes an unbearable burden, not because of a lack of strength, but because of an excess of useless load. Stoicism teaches that much of suffering comes from clinging to what was never under our control. Letting go is not a loss, it is liberation. It is recognizing that not everything you carry is yours and that your energy should be directed only to what you can truly transform. The most common mistake is to believe that letting go is equivalent to giving up. You think that letting go of a harmful relationship, an endless argument, or an impossible ideal means failure, when in reality it means choosing your peace over your ego. The one who insists on carrying what does not belong to him ends up worn out, tied to useless struggles and moving away from himself. The one who learns to let go becomes the master of his freedom. How to apply this in everyday life? First, identify what loads are not yours. Ask yourself if the weight you carry belongs to you or if it was imposed by others. Your family's expectations, societal pressure, the opinions of those who never walked in your shoes. Those burdens are not yours. Recognizing it is the first step to letting them go. Second, break the habit of trying to control people. You can't manage their decisions, their emotions, or their actions. Every time you try, you tie yourself to endless frustrations. Stoic discipline consists of focusing only on what depends on you, your response, your attitude, your effort. Everything else should fall like water through your hands. Third, learn to close cycles with dignity. Not everything deserves a long explanation or a confrontation. Sometimes it's enough to accept that something ended, be grateful for what was learned, and move on. When you stay waiting for apologies, validations, or recognitions, you chain yourself to the past. Letting go is deciding that your future is worth more than any emotional debt that others will never pay. It is also essential to practice material detachment. The accumulation of things you don't use reflects internal fears. Fear of loss, fear of not having enough. Start with small acts, like donating what you no longer need or simplifying your environment. This practice trains your mind to understand that nothing external defines your worth. Freeing yourself by letting go of what doesn't belong to you is not an act of weakness, it's an act of courage. It means that you choose to move forward lightly, that you prioritize your peace, and that you focus on the essential. The bird that lets go of the stones loses nothing important, it gains the sky. And the same happens to you. When you decide to let go of what is not yours, you discover the strength of living without chains and the power to fly towards your own destiny. 10. Find purpose through service. The candle is not lit to be kept in a drawer, it is lit to illuminate. Its meaning is not in itself, but in what it offers to others. The same happens with human life. The purpose is not discovered by looking only at oneself in the mirror, but when what you do impacts and transforms those around you. Stoicism understood that true power is not living for oneself, but turning your existence into a bridge that contributes something to the world. Serving is not submitting, it is elevating oneself by giving. The common mistake is to seek purpose only in personal achievements, thinking that reaching goals, accumulating money or recognition will be enough to fill the inner void. And although these conquests bring momentary satisfaction, the feeling of fulfillment soon disappears. Lasting purpose arises when what you do contributes to something bigger than your ego. Serving others does not weaken you, it gives you direction. It reminds you that your life has an impact that transcends your limits. How to apply this in everyday life? First, change the question. Instead of obsessing over, what do I want from life? Ask yourself, what can I contribute to the lives of others? This perspective opens up paths you hadn't seen. It can be something as simple as truly listening to someone who needs to be heard, sharing what you know, teaching what you learned with pain, or silently supporting someone going through a storm. You don't need a huge stage, you need clear intention. Second, connect your work with the benefit it generates. Even in the smallest tasks, there is a way to serve. If you work with discipline, you not only improve your life, you also set an example. If you are responsible, you inspire trust. If you are honest, you raise the standard of those around you. Every action can become an act of service when you understand that what you do leaves a mark on others. Third, practice invisible service. Do good things without expecting applause. Help without announcing it. Give without needing recognition. This type of service strengthens your character because it teaches you to act from values and not from the desire for approval. Stoicism saw in this practice a way to keep virtue intact because what is valuable does not need witnesses, only consistency. It is also important to remember that serving does not mean forgetting about yourself. Real service comes from balance. First, you strengthen yourself so as not to depend on others, and then you share that strength to multiply it. If you try to serve from emptiness, you end up resentful. If you do it from inner abundance, your service becomes a source of growth for you and others. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment, "I am Stoic," as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.